C-Topher Central. It's the place to be. Yeah. Woo! Let's get this party started, people. It's time. The long-awaited sequel. Okay, it wasn't that long-awaited, but it kind of was. My fault. Don't worry about it. It's time for sports! Part 2. Woo! Cue the fun music. Yeah! We got the sports back. Yeah! The sequel. We have more sports today. Now, the difference between these sports and the previous sports, which I will review shortly, is that these sports are more exotic. They're more unique. They're not as popular. They're not as well known. One of them is hard to pronounce. And, unfortunately, I'm just kidding. By complete happenstance, most of them come from England. So, funny coincidence. But, yeah, today we have more sports. It's been requested. And I'm gonna take all the requests I can get and follow through. So here we go. We got sports. Now before I get into the new stuff, welcome back. Thank you for coming back. I know it's been a minute, a little more than a minute. It's been an hour, metaphorically speaking. So yeah. Don't worry. The fun is not over. There's more to be had. There's more to be had, and it's gonna be great. Be glad. Now, review, right? So, as before, with sports part 1, we talked about golf. We had golf. What else? We had dodgeball. We had volleyball. We had, let's see. We had tennis. We had ping pong. We had cross country. We had show choir. And that's it, volleyball? Yeah, I think so. So, yeah, those were our sports before. Although those sports, pretty run-of-the-mill sports. Pretty average, not average, but, you know about those sports. Well, today I thought maybe I should reach a bit and go for sports that, some of y'all may not know about. Or if you know about it, you may not know as much about it. And also before, I talked about sports that I had personal experience with. And so these sports, at least most of them, I don't have personal experience with. But I do have opinions. And I'm sure you can fabricate your own opinion about them. So, with that being said, let's jump into the first sport now. Now, first on the docket today, we have the sport called cheese rolling, which is what you could imagine it to be. I'm sure some of us have heard of cheese rolling before, so it's not that crazy, but it's not your everyday sport. Now, cheese rolling, which before I get into that, go ahead and just keep a tally of all the times that I say sport in this video, because I've already said it so much already, and it's silly. Yeah, cheese rolling. So, it originated in England, the first England sport we have here. And the rules of the sport is to get to the bottom of a hill. So you have this giant cheese wheel, right? And it's rolling down a hill. And this cheese roll is going at like 70 miles per hour. And you just have a bunch of people, and they're at the top of the hill, and they're trying to get the cheese. And they're all just getting down the hill, probably rolling and falling and tumbling and bruising yourselves and all that stuff, right? And whoever gets to the bottom first wins the cheese. That is the sport right there. That is it. And it's I forgot how long the hill was. Some 200 kilometers. That's crazy. It's not 200 kilometers. 200 yards, I think. That sounds reasonable. But it's a big hill. And it started, it's really hard to tell when it was started, but it was first documented in 1826. But it's probably been going on for much longer. So, who's really to say? But it's a simple sport. So, I'm sure the ancients probably started it, and then they finally put pen to paper and said, what are we doing? And then we wrote it down. Now, you see, in my opinion, I just don't understand. Like, I do. And the people who live in the area, which is, let's see if I can pronounce it here, Gloucestershire, England. Yes, that place. The people who live there, the locals will say, they see this sport as a rite of passage. You know, some people, they just want to do it. You know, they're kids and they hear about the local cheese rolling competition, and they just want to grow up and do it. And it's a fun day. You know, we have other sports happening, other events happening at the same time. There are a lot of races, and you know, it's just a fun day for everybody. It happens annually, so it's a one-time thing every year. And then the winner passes it on, kind of like passing the torch to the next winner next year. So it's a whole communal thing. It's a really strong community-based activity, and it means a lot to the locals. You know, people all around the world, they come and they, you know, get involved, and it's a fun time, assuming you don't die or break something or become unconscious, because that is also what happens a lot of the times. It's a very dangerous sport, as you can imagine. A bunch of grown people just rolling down a hill really, really fast, reaching speeds roughly around 70 miles per hour. Yeah, people are gonna get hurt. And so, that's where you lose me. I personally would not partake in this because, no, you see, it's just not worth it to me. It looks fun. It certainly looks fun. Like, if you watch a video of it, you would kind of, in the back of your mind, you'd be like, man, that'd be kind of cool if I won that. But, no, because then you start, and then you fall, and that's it. You fall, and now you're rolling, and then any way the wind blows is where you end up. So it's not gonna go well for you if you lose control. But hey, you know, it's about the community. It's the community that counts. And in case you're wondering, the cheese wheel itself, because it's rolling down a hill, it's encased in a wooden box type thing, a circular box, so that way the cheese doesn't get dirty or damaged or anything crazy, because, you know, it is just cheese, and I would imagine cheese on dirt rolling down a hill is not gonna end well or stay intact. So yeah, they put it in a little wooden box. But yeah, that's our first sport today. Everybody, round of applause for cheese rolling. Woo! Roll that cheese. Roll that cheese. Roll that cheese along. Yes, as the cheese rolls, we roll as well. On to the next sport, which is, get this, it's underwater hockey. Underwater hockey, which in the place where it originates from, it's called octopush, because of like the tentacles on an octopus and how I don't know. I didn't come up with the name, but yes, and it also originates from the UK. So this is the second England, Europe, over there sport. It's the over there sport. But underwater hockey. So it was invented in 1954 in South Sea, England. And the purpose of this sport was to keep the divers there, keep them fit during the winter months, because, you know, when you're diving and it's winter time and you're up north, it's cold. So, you know, you don't really do that as much. So it's kind of like, it was their form of conditioning in a sense, so that they stay physical and, you know, ready to dive when it comes warm again, right? But then it became popular, and everyone was like, yo, this is a cool thing. And then it went international, and now it's a bona fide sport. It's a real thing. Underwater hockey. As for the rules, get this, it's literally hockey, but you're underwater. And so, yeah, if you know the rules of hockey, then there you go. If you don't, I'll explain them to you. Basically, you have teams, and the teams have sticks, and you have a puck. A puck is like a circular cylindrical disc type thing. Think of a thick CD, but all black, and there's no hole. It's just think of a burnt patty. There we go. So you have two teams hitting a burnt patty back and forth, and you're trying to get it into the opponent's net. So it's like soccer, but then you're underwater and you have a stick instead of your leg, and then instead of a ball, you have a burnt patty made of wood. That is hockey. Now, underwater hockey is at underwater. Cool. Great. Awesome. Now you see, as you're underwater, there's more complications to it, because now you have, you can swim around, and, how's the puck going to stay on the ground, and, what are the different rules with breathing and all that stuff. So the players, right, they have these snorkels and they have fins so that they can breathe and stuff. But you also have to coordinate as a team, like, when are we going to breathe, Because when you're on the surface, you just keep playing. Oh, I'm tired, I need some water. You get some water and you get back in the sport, halftime, take a break, whatever, right? Underwater hockey, you need to breathe, like, quite often. You can't just not breathe. And so it's a little more complicated in the sense that you have to, like, say, okay, I'm defending. Oh, hold up, I'm gonna suffocate. All right, guys, you got this. I'm gonna go breathe and come back. So you have to be a good swimmer, and you also have to have good coordination with your team. Most of the pools that it takes place in, it's like 6 to 13 feet deep, I believe. I think 6 feet isn't deep enough, in my opinion, especially if you have, like, a bunch of people playing hockey. But yeah, and then the puck, it's weighted so that it doesn't, start floating away. It stays on the ground, so the bottom of the pool is very smooth and flat to simulate kind of the hockey rink, And, yeah. Now, would I do this? No. Again, not my cup of tea. Sorry, UK people. And, well, I'm not the best swimmer. Yeah, you have to swim really well to do this sport, and I can barely handle having water in my nose. I've gotten to the point where I don't immediately panic, but I subconsciously panic, and then it's like, hold up, I can't even, nope. And then even if I didn't have any issue with water in my nose, there comes the issue of I'm just not a good swimmer. Like, I don't know the form, I don't have the technique, and I couldn't at all fathom the idea of multitasking, trying to manage my breath, remember the general strategy and the flow of the game, find my teammates, and then stay coordinated with them. And then also, oh heavens, Betsy, oh goodness gracious, someone bumps into you, it's gonna happen. You have people pushing and shoving underwater, and then now it's like, I need to breathe, and you just gut checked me, and now I lost half my air, and now, yeah, no, that's scary. So, again, kudos to everybody who plays these underwater sports. I didn't have this one planned, but reminds me of it. Water polo, right? And yeah, water polo. That's another good sport where it's like you have people playing a land sport underwater, and you have to coordinate as a team, synchronized swimming, all these things where it requires, prolonged time underwater. I can't do that. So I find that very impressive, and that's really cool. So yeah, everybody give it up for underwater hockey. Yes, we're getting through these. Now this next one I have is it's not from the UK, and it's this one is I do have actual personal experience with this one. So yeah, get ready for this next one. So basically, right, we all heard of football. Not soccer, not that football. And I'm referring to American football. Now you see, think of American football, but like instead of a football, and you have the shoulder pads, and you have the helmets, and the teams running at each other and tackling and man-tiling and throwing and kicking and all that stuff, right? You have none of that, right? And I'm not talking about rugby either. Would have been a good sport. I'm talking about ultimate frisbee. Yup, ultimate frisbee. Woo! Listen. I've never heard of ultimate frisbee until I think, what was it, like 6th grade? I think. Ultimate frisbee is a game that I personally love, and it's not a taboo sport. It was invented in 1968 at Columbia High School, New Jersey. it was played on college campuses, and then people were like, yo, this is cool, and then it went international. So I think it's how most sports form anyway, you know. They start somewhere and then they just go crazy. But hey, this was in the USA, so you know, we made up with this one. We did this one. And basically, the rules of Ultimate Frisbee is that you have 2 teams, right? And it's kind of like football, where you're trying to get it to the end zone, quote unquote, end zone of sorts. And instead of football, you have a Frisbee, right? And so what you're supposed to do is you have the Frisbee and you throw it to your team. And you run, catch the Frisbee. Once you catch the Frisbee, you cannot move. So you catch it and you stop where you are, and you have to wait and find another teammate who's open and then pass it to them. And then they catch it and you slowly make progress incrementally to the end zone, quote unquote. And in terms of the other team, they defend. So their goal is to either catch it and intercept the throw, or get this, if the Frisbee touches the ground at all, then it goes to their team. So what other teams would also do is just try to smack it out of the air and to prevent the other team who threw it from getting it, and then that way it's now the other team's Frisbee. So then they can go and try and score. So it's a very fast-paced, back and forth type game. It's football, but just with Frisbee, you know, and you interceptions, turnovers, fumbles, all that sort of stuff. Just you have a Frisbee and you can't move when you have the Frisbee. Now, in terms of my time with Ultimate Frisbee, I started playing back in middle school in gym class. It was an incredible experience. I was one of the bigger kids in my grade, and so I didn't have to worry about like being dramatically overpowered by everybody, and I had a good throw, and I was usually placed on teams with other people of my size roughly, and so it was a fun time for me. I'm sure for other people who I was going against, it wasn't as fun, but hey, I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried about me and my Ultimate Frisbee experience. There's a lot of strategies, there's a lot of nuances, you know. I do remember this. Maybe it's not in the official rules, I don't know, but I remember when I played it, you were allowed to pivot. Like, you could take pivot steps, but you couldn't, like, move forward. So you'd have, like, one foot planted, and then you could, like, walk in a circle around that foot just to, like, move out of the way. But, like, that's it. So, I mean, I don't know. But ever since then, I've been playing it here and there. Middle school, played it a bit in high school. I say it like I'm a 25-year-old, but yeah, I play here and there and wherever I can. It's really fun. Now I do remember one time, cool story here. I was in middle school, and it was the other team just scored on my team, and I had the Frisbee and I was throwing it off, kind of like, you know, kickoff. So I was throwing it off to my team, and I had the genius idea of taking the Frisbee and throwing it as far as I could to the other team's goal. And then my plan was to run as fast as I could and then catch my own throw in their goal. That was my plan. It would be a one-man score. Did I succeed? Well, depends on your perspective and definition of success. I threw it. It went really high, really, really high. Everyone was like, what was that, right? And shoot, no one's catching that, right? Good, I didn't want them to. I wanted to catch it. So I'm booking it across. I'm running. I jump, I catch it. I catch my own throw. I'm already so close to their goal. But I land on my knees, and I slide. I slid. How far did I slide? I probably slid about a foot, like a whole ruler on the ground from where I landed to where it ended. I was probably a foot. My bare knees on the ground. This was in middle school. We were in the gym. And so I slid across the gym floor. Frisbee, I was caressing the Frisbee, making sure I didn't drop it. Hey, that's not the word, caressing. Nope, that's not the word. What was I doing to that Frisbee? Engulfing? Nope, that's not the word either. I was tightly holding it. We'll say that. I was tightly holding it. And, yeah, I slid really bad and really far. The adrenaline was pumping like crazy. I didn't land in their goal, sadly, but I was like right there, so I passed it in. But when I stood up and I looked back from where I landed to where I slid, I saw the most horrific sight. My own skin was smeared into the ground, and it was so much skin that it was like it was starting to curl up and roll on itself, like a fruit roll up. Yes, my skin was starting to roll in and itself like a fruit roll up on the ground. That's how much skin I lost from that little skid. I looked down at my knees. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. The adrenaline pumping from my success changed. Now it was fear. Actually, it was dopamine earlier, and now it was adrenaline. I was trying to process what was happening, and the pain, it didn't set in yet. Woo! It did not set in yet. I'm so glad. I screamed because I was missing a huge chunk of skin on both of my knees, and it was right behind. It was on the ground. Anyone could see it. It was disgusting, and it was bloody. I sat out for the rest of the day. It was terrible, and ugh. And after like 30 seconds, the adrenaline started to wear off and the pain came in. Oh, the pain. It was cool, but it was so painful. It was so bad. I had like 4 band-aids on each leg and an ice pack because, you know, the school nurse's starter pack, you know. It was bad. And then furthermore, later that night at 12 a.m., well, after school that day, I went to my grandma's house and I continued to play Frisbee with my grandma. We didn't play Ultimate Frisbee, we just tossed Frisbee back and forth. And I told her what happened throughout the day and what happened to my knee and all that stuff, right? And I got home from her house around like 12 a.m. I don't know why, it was a school night. What was I doing up? But anyway, yeah, I got home and I was putting my stuff on my bed and I like tripped or something. I slipped and I fell off my bed. Get this. I slipped and fell off my bed. And mind you, my knees, right? So tender, so sore, it hurts just to walk. I slid again on the floor after I fell off the bed. And I have a carpet floor. So I slid on my knees that were already rubber burned on carpet. I got carpet burn. When I tell you, I was writhing in pain for about 20 minutes. I was on the floor rocking back and forth, silently whimpering to myself. I couldn't be loud because my family was asleep. But it was terrible. It was a terrible, terrible pain. And it was completely self-inflicted. Like, what was I doing? Why was I on the ground like that? At least before, I was doing something cool. And it just went terribly wrong. But this was stupid. It didn't need to happen. But, yeah. That's my experience with Ultimate Frisbee and some good highlights. The sport itself, really cool, really, really fun to watch. Sometimes it's very fast paced. If you haven't seen it or heard of it, I recommend checking it out. And yeah, everybody give a good round of applause for Ultimate Frisbee. Woo! Round of applause. All right, awesome sauce. Now, on to the next sport. Now, next up, which, okay, this next sport also, you know, this one starts in England, but it's okay, cause we have extreme ironing. Yep, extreme ironing. Yep, the thing, you know, the chore at the house where you have your clothes and they're wrinkly, and you get the ironing board and you have the iron and you're ironing your clothes. Yep, that is the sport. It's that, but it's extreme. It's extreme ironing. Now, this is a relatively new sport. I say relatively, generously. It was invented in 1997. And, let's see. The reason why this sport even exists, right? I'm not even telling you what it is yet. The dude who invented it, he loved rock climbing. He loved, doing stuff with his life that wasn't ironing. He absolutely hated the sport. And so he thought, well, why don't I make the sport more fun? And so he began extreme ironing. And that's it. So, what is this exactly? Basically, right, you have these people, and they have the ironing board, they have their shirt, they have their pants, they have whatever they want to do with it, they have their apparel. And they go off to some random location, and they just start ironing. What do I mean by random location? I mean anywhere you can think of that a human being can safely access. Shoot, maybe not even safely, but either way, if you can think of a place, I'm sure that someone has been there, except for outer space. Actually, I'm sure people iron in outer space, except for outer space and inside of a volcano. Some key highlight locations. Mount Everest. Someone brought their ironing board, their apparel, their iron, climbed Mount Everest, and then started ironing. Now, see, the only irons that I've ever seen in my life require an outlet. They require some flow of electricity. So I have no idea how people are doing these things without a really, really, really strong and really, really, really long extension cord. But hey, I guarantee you, if you were to look it up, I'm sure there are plenty of cordless irons, but I didn't do that. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but I like to imagine that people go to these wacky locations and they have a really long extension cord with it. Some other wacky places include traffic. Yes, the middle of traffic. Fountains. I like parks. Fountains. Under the water. Yes, under the water. People iron their clothes underwater. It's counterproductive, but they do it. Yeah. Let's see, skydiving. That was a thing. Yes, people were ironing their clothes while skydiving. I can't even imagine that. I can, and there's an extension cord. There's an extension cord involved. But yeah, skydiving. And yeah, I know what you're thinking, Chris. How is this a sport? This is not a sport. This is people doing stuff that's stupid. It's not stupid, first of all. It's art. It's art. Second of all, I think they are judged on a rubric of creativity, extremeness of the location, so like Mount Everest, pretty extreme, and general humor. So like in traffic, that's pretty funny. Maybe not for those in traffic, but if you were to see a social media post and it's this dude ironing his shirt on the freeway, that's kind of funny. Yeah, so extreme ironing, people, yeah, woo! I mean, there's so much to say, and there's also not, I maybe people do this as a form of protest against home economics. I mean, would I do this? Absolutely. I could totally see myself extreme ironing someday. I could, maybe not in traffic, maybe not on Mount Everest, maybe not under the sea. Maybe I would do it. I would totally do it. Oh, here we go. Here's the spot right here. we need to go to Rio and the giant statue of Jesus with his arms stretched out. Perfect place. You go all the way up there and just start ironing. That is how you do it, people. I need to invest in one of those cordless irons that I hope exist and just go at it, Just go at it up there and then take a picture and then post it on social media and then see how I get judged. Yeah, extreme ironing. It's a real thing. It's crazy, but it's okay. Cause now we're getting on. Oh, hang on, sorry. Everybody, a round of applause. Woo! All right, cool. Extreme ironing. Yeah. Now, I'm doing pretty good with my time management. I understand that I go on for a really long time in a lot of my episodes. And I'm getting better at that. Because now we're on our last sport for today. Can you believe it? We haven't even hit 40 minutes yet. Our last sport of the day is a special sport in which does not come from America, nor does it come from Europe. Ho ho ho, I've already piqued your interest. In fact, this last sport I had to look up how to pronounce, and I'm still probably going to say it wrong, and so I'm sorry. But, yes, our last sport for today is a sport called Sepak Takraw. I think I said it right, though I may not have enunciated well enough for it to be properly heard. So I'm going to say it again. Sepak Takraw. Yeah, I said it wrong that time. Takraw. Whatever. I probably had it the first time. It's okay. Yes. Sepak Takraw. Now, what am I saying here? Well, these words are foreign languages, and each word means something different in a different language. Sepak means kick in Malaysian, and then takraw is Thai for ball. So, if you put the two together from the two languages, you get kickball, but it's not kickball. Like, it's not the kickball you're thinking of, where you kick the ball and it's like baseball, and then it's kick. It's not that. But there is a ball and you do kick it. Maybe. Well, yes, certainly, but anyway. It's, let's see. Well, how do I explain this? Think of volleyball. Yes, perfect. So you have volleyball, right? You have two teams in a net, and you just pass the ball back and forth. You have they spike it, and you set the ball, and you gotta block the ball, and you gotta defend, and all that stuff. And if it's the ground, you get a point, and yada yada yada, and you got the out system and all that stuff, right? It's the exact same sport, except you do not. I repeat, you do not get to use your hands or your arms, only to serve. And you don't even hit the ball with your hands or your arms. You serve, you do everything with your legs and your feet. You kick it. Now, I am a simple audio recording. I do not have video footage of the sport at this moment in time. Believe me, it is coming soon. Not video footage of the sport, but rather video footage in general. But that's another thing for now. I want you to think of really cool action movies where they do kung fu and karate and taekwondo and all that cool stuff, where they do these axe kicks and the high flipping and kicking in the action movies, and they're kick, poo, poo, bang, bang, poo. All that action stuff, right? So as you're thinking of that, think of someone jumping in the air and kicking a ball upside down and then falling to the ground. You just imagined the entire sport, back and forth. Now, this sport was standardized in the 1960s in Asia, and then it goes from there. And the rules are they're the same principal rules of volleyball. And you have your tekong. I'm giving you positions now. You have your tekong, the server, and then you have your striker, who is like the person at the net who's like spikes the ball, but like, with a really cool kick. And then you have the feeder, which is the equivalent of, in volleyball, you have the person who like who sets the ball, and then the person like spikes it from there. So that's the flow of the sport. And you have 3 people on each team, I believe. Let's see, what else? Most of the people who play, they're like average height. So they're not that tall, which I think is really good for them. Because in a sport where you're going to be upside down about half of the time, you don't want to be all big and tall, because you want to be able to have a lot of agility and mobility, and you don't want to hit the ground faster, You want to be able to maximize your time in the air. And you also don't want to be so tall that you can't get your legs up, you know what I'm saying? So you have a lot of like 5'1", 5'5", that range of people. Let's see, what else? The ball itself. Now, it's not like a volleyball material type thing. It's actually made of rattan, which is, it's kind of like this woven thing. Like, if you think of like Moana. Yeah, think of the movie Moana and how they were sewing baskets in the first movie. Think of like that material, but then it's a ball. That's what rattan is. And beyond that, it's just pretty much everybody jumping and kicking and X, flipping and hoya, kick, slam, fall. If you see a video, which I highly encourage you to look it up, it's spelled SEPAK, Sepak, and then TAKRAW, takraw, right? Look it up. If you find a video of it, it looks really painful. I'm just gonna be honest. It looks really painful. Just them kicking and all that stuff. And then you have people blocking on the other side because you can't use your hands. You have to use your body to block it. So what you would do is you have someone who spikes it, but then you have the other dude on the other team seeing that you're about to spike it, because it's a very high commitment thing. You can't just fake out people like that, unless you have like a double jump. But and then you have people on the other team, they run up to the net and they turn around and they put their hands up, but they don't, not to hit the ball. They put their hands up so that the judges and the officials see that they're not using their hands. And then they jump really high and use their backs as like a board to protect the ball and prevent it from going on their side of the net. And it's the same as volleyball. You just don't use your hands. So it's a lot of jumping and kicking and flipping, and then you have to stretch. Oh my gosh. You couldn't pay me $1 billion to do the sport. You know why? Because I can't. I physically cannot do this sport. I don't have it in me. I just don't. I am not at all that flexible. I can kick the ball, certainly, but I'm not upside down doing so. And even if I get one good, lucky upside down kick, I'm gonna fall and bust my head, and then it's ouch. And then I'm gonna sit there for the rest of the game on the ground in a pile of broken mess because I'm hurt, because I'm upside down. Ugh. No. I would say it's one of the most extreme sports I've ever seen in my life. Beyond extreme ironing. One of those two. It's crazy. You have to be really trained for this sport. Like it's a full body workout in every way possible. I know a lot of sports are full body workouts, but like this one especially, you have to be able to jump. You have to be flexible enough. You have to have strong leg strength. You have to have a good sense of like gymnastic and how to tumble, how to roll, and how to flip and all that stuff. You have to understand strategy and tactful business stuff. Not business, but like you got to have your business in place when it comes to strategy and organization, cooperation, synergy. It's everything. And then if you get hurt, which I guarantee you will happen once in a while, it's just like, ugh. And then like, how do you train for this, Like, what do you do when you're training? Do you spend a day working on your flexibility, and then you spend the day working on striking, and then you spend the day working on how to flip? Like, it's just, there's so much put into the sport, and it's so complicated and so nuanced and so impressive to watch. It's incredible. And I don't think I have it in my future to play this sport on a professional level or any level whatsoever, for that matter. So, I think we should give an extra strong round of applause to anyone who can play this sport. I don't think they're going to be watching me, but if by happenstance they stumble upon this video and watch till the end and they find this segment, then hi, you do a great job. Yeah, I'm sure that went to nobody. It's okay. But yeah, that's all the sports I have for today. And if you want a part 3, let me know. And yeah, so I think we should wrap things up now. See, fun fact. Wrap things up with a fun fact. Oh, I just remembered. I forgot to say enjoy yourself at the beginning. Well, I hope you enjoyed yourself. Why don't you? That didn't work grammatically. It's fine. Let's see. Fun fact. Did you know that basketball was originally played with a soccer ball? That's about it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, yeah, that's really it. But I hope you enjoyed today's episode. A lot shorter than a lot of my previous episodes, and that was on purpose, trying to adjust to the attention spans. And yeah. So fun little episode. Glad to be back. So with that being said, toodaloo, a buckaroo.